TikTok will tell you to wake up at 4 a.m., take a cold plunge, drink celery juice, and journal for 45 minutes before the sun rises. And if you don't do all of it perfectly every single morning, you've already failed the day before it started. This is not that video. These are 7 morning habits that are actually backed by peer-reviewed science. Simple, sustainable, and genuinely effective for working adults who have real lives, real schedules, and real children to get out the door. Stick around for habit 5. It's the one with the strongest research behind it, and the one most people have never considered as a morning habit at all. Number 1. Get outdoor light in your eyes within 30 minutes of waking. This is the single most evidence-backed morning habit in existence, and it costs nothing. Neuroscientist Andrew Huberman's research at Stanford, along with decades of circadian biology studies, consistently shows that exposure to natural light within the first 30 minutes of waking sets your circadian clock for the entire day. Natural morning light triggers a cortisol pulse, not the chronic stress kind, but a healthy, brief alertness spike that jumpstarts your metabolism, sharpens your focus, and sets a timer in your brain for when melatonin will be released that evening, making it easier to fall asleep 14 to 16 hours later. Step outside for 5 to 10 minutes while drinking your morning water or eating breakfast. No sunglasses. The light needs to reach your retinas directly. On cloudy days, it still works. Diffused light carries the same wavelength signals. This single habit improves alertness, mood, sleep quality, and metabolism simultaneously. Number 2. Delay caffeine by 90 minutes after waking. This one is counterintuitive for most coffee drinkers, but the science behind it is compelling. When you wake up, your brain is still clearing adenosine, the chemical that builds up during the day and makes you feel tired. For the first 90 minutes after waking, your adenosine levels are naturally declining, and your cortisol is naturally rising. Drinking coffee during this window doesn't actually make you more alert. It simply masks the adenosine that would have cleared on its own. The result is that when the caffeine wears off later in the day, the adenosine hits all at once, producing the familiar mid-afternoon energy crash. Delaying caffeine by 90 minutes allows adenosine to clear naturally first, meaning your coffee hits harder, lasts longer, and produces less of a crash. A small schedule change with a noticeable daily impact. 2 habits down and habit 5 is coming. It has the strongest research of anything on this list, and most people have never thought of it as a morning habit. Keep watching. Number 3. Make your bed immediately after getting up. This sounds too simple to be backed by science, and yet the research consistently supports it. A Navy SEAL's commencement speech by Admiral William McRaven made this famous, but the supporting psychology predates it significantly. Making your bed immediately after rising is what researchers call a keystone habit, a small action that triggers a cascade of order and discipline throughout the rest of the day. Studies on self-reported well-being consistently show that people who make their bed every morning report higher productivity, better mood, and stronger sense of control over their day compared to those who don't. The mechanism is simple. Completing a small task immediately upon waking establishes a pattern of completion and order that your brain carries into subsequent tasks. It takes 2 minutes and sets a tone of intentionality for everything that follows. Number 4. Eat a high-protein breakfast within the first hour. Breakfast timing and composition have significant downstream effects on energy, hunger, and food choices throughout the entire day. Research published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition consistently shows that a high-protein breakfast, 25 to 30 grams of protein, reduces appetite hormones, stabilizes blood sugar, and significantly reduces total calorie intake later in the day without requiring conscious restriction. The contrast with a high-carbohydrate breakfast, toast, cereal, pastries, is dramatic. High-carbohydrate breakfasts produce a rapid blood sugar spike, followed by a crash that triggers hunger and cravings within 2 to 3 hours. A protein-rich breakfast produces stable energy for 4 to 5 hours with no crash. Eggs, Greek yogurt, cottage cheese, smoked salmon, or a protein shake all qualify. The specific source matters less than hitting the protein target. This one habit meaningfully improves energy, concentration, and eating behavior for the rest of the day. Number 5. Do your most cognitively demanding task within the first 2 hours of waking. This is the habit with the strongest research behind it, and the one most people never think of as a morning habit. It is simply about timing your most important work correctly relative to your neurobiology. Cortisol, which peaks in the first 1 to 2 hours after waking for most people, is not just a stress hormone. It is also your primary focus and alertness chemical. The cortisol peak in the morning creates a window of heightened cognitive performance that most people squander on email, social media, and administrative tasks. Research from the University of California shows that cognitive performance, working memory, problem-solving, and creative thinking, is measurably highest in this post-waking cortisol window for the majority of adults. Using this window for your most demanding work, rather than your lowest value tasks, is the highest leverage productivity change most people never make. Identify your single most important task the night before. When you wake up, after your light exposure and water, start that task before you open email, before you check your phone, before you do anything reactive. Even 45 to 60 minutes in this window produces more meaningful output than 3 hours of distracted afternoon work. 2 more habits, and habit 7 is the one that ties everything else together and takes less than 2 minutes to do. Don't skip it. Number 6. Move your body for at least 10 minutes. The research on morning exercise is extensive and consistent. Even brief morning movement produces measurable improvements in mood, focus, and energy that persist for hours after the exercise ends. The mechanism involves brain-derived neurotrophic factor, BDNF, a protein released during exercise that supports neuron growth, improves learning, and enhances mood. You do not need a full gym session to capture these benefits. A 10-minute brisk walk, a short bodyweight circuit, or even 10 minutes of stretching is enough to trigger the neurochemical response that makes the rest of your morning significantly more productive. The added benefit of morning movement is consistency. Research consistently shows that people who exercise in the morning maintain their exercise habits significantly more reliably than those who intend to exercise later in the day. Morning exercise happens. Evening exercise gets rescheduled. Number 7. Set a single intention for the day. In writing. This is the habit that ties everything else together, and it takes less than 2 minutes. Before you begin your workday, write down one sentence that completes this prompt. Today is a success if I accomplish one specific outcome. Not a to-do list, not a goal for the week. One thing that, if done, makes the day genuinely worthwhile, regardless of what else happens or doesn't happen. Research on implementation intentions, the psychological term for this kind of specific, written commitment, shows that people who write down a single daily intention are significantly more likely to accomplish meaningful work than those who start the day with a vague mental list of things to do. The act of writing it creates commitment. The specificity creates clarity. And the singular focus prevents the decision fatigue and scattered effort that characterizes most people's mornings. 2 minutes. One sentence. One direction for the entire day. None of these habits require a 4 a.m. wake-up, a cold plunge, or a green juice. They require morning light, delayed caffeine, a made bed, a protein breakfast, focused work, brief movement, and one written intention. 7 habits, most of them taking under 5 minutes individually, each backed by research rather than social media trends. Stack them together consistently, and the cumulative effect on your energy, focus, and sense of control throughout the day is genuinely significant. Pick one to start tomorrow morning. Not all 7. 1. The one that feels most immediately useful for where you are right now. Build from there. Subscribe to Live Smarter Daily for weekly videos on money, health, productivity, and home. Everything busy adults actually need to know. See you in the next one.